Where my girls at? Where my girls at? Independent, free spirit. Ooh, it's something serious. Where my girls at? We link up in a cool minute. Where my girls at? It's going down, down. Where my girls at? It's going down, down. It's going down tonight. We going out tonight. Yeah, right. We going out tonight. It's going down tonight. Yeah, right. It's going down tonight. We going out tonight. Yeah, right. We going out tonight. It's going down tonight. Yeah, right.
Independent, free spirit. Ooh, we something serious. Yes, we are. This is Sabrina, Katrina, Gloria, and Chrisette. We have 100% attendance today. That is exciting, exciting, exciting. I missed you girls. It's been a minute. I'm so glad to be with the force of friendship. We got issues. Call in and join the conversation. We're here Monday through Friday, 313-778-7600. We talk about it all, y'all. Little, big, and small. Whatever's going on in the world, you better believe these girlfriends have something to say. And so we're here today. Thank you for joining us, tribe from the north, south, east, and west. Our tribe is growing by leaps and bounds. Type your name in the chat. Tell us where you're listening from, because you can listen on Roku, 9-10 a.m. to Superstation, the Force of Friendship website. I mean, so many different ways. I don't even know all the different ways. Katrina is our detailed sister. She will be able to tell you exactly how to find us. But we're glad that you are here. Where are my girls? Where are my girls? Where are my girls at? Here, there, and everywhere. Well, we're all in our places with sunshiny faces. And you know what? That is really something, because we're all so very busy. These are girlfriends who live in Detroit, Michigan, where the radio station is based, the oldest African-American radio station in the state of Michigan. And so we're grateful to be one of their featured programs on the station for about a year now. And then we have Katrina. She resides in two places, sometimes Chicago, most of the time the West Coast, out in the San Francisco, Oakland area. And then there's Gloria, Ellicott City, also known as BWI. All right, all right, all right. So you guys, we are here today to talk about it all, y'all. What's going on, Katrina? How are you doing? You don't know? You don't know how you're doing?
Here, so I know how I'm doing. I know how I'm doing. I take a minute to unmute. Stop being messy from the get-go, okay?
Right, exactly.
I did tell the tribe yesterday that today we took another test, still testing positive. So I have to mute for the cough. And they have ripped up all my carpet. So if you hear a jackhammer, okay, this is what is happening up in here. But I am here. I forgot to turn my lights on, but I'm here. Okay, I'm here. Honestly, today I did, Gloria, work out on the Get Move Challenge, because these chicks are not leaving me behind. Do you know that Walter, my trainer, I said, Walter, let me just start by going to get on the scale, okay? Because I know there's a bunch of sisters that we don't like the scale. He said, before you go get on the scale, I bet you I can guess your weight within 2 pounds. He said within 1 pound. Do you know he told me exactly, he gave me a weight plus 0.2. And do you know I got on the scale and it was exactly blank,
really?
0.2.
blank, 0.2.
I said, something is wrong with you. He said, I could tell, my symptoms are mild, but I'm not weak. It's lethargic. I said tired. And I can only work out with him for 20 minutes. He said, sister, you sweating during the the warm up.
Warm up.
The warm up.
Wow.
He's like, I was sweating. It's just, so
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, we're glad you're feeling better. We're glad you're feeling better. We know that COVID is alive and well, Katrina. They say that I think you said, the doctor said that it's at its high peak since its inception. And we're not talking about it. People are not talking about it at all. People are moving on about their very merry way, infected and all. So we're just glad that you and your family are on the mend. Thank the Lord.
Thank you. Before I pass it to the girlfriends, I just want to say for the radio audience,
that's right.
Voted.
I see it.
Okay, I voted, and
good.
Go Warriors. Okay,
yes,
go Warriors. Okay,
go Celtics. Go Celtics. Go Celtics. All right. Excellent.
We'll talk tomorrow. I'll talk to you tomorrow on my own
we'll
show.
talk.
Okay,
we'll talk. Coach Chris, who is the captain, the coach of the Move It Challenge. When I tell you, I get up thinking about Chrisette, I go to bed thinking about Chrisette. I don't even look at social media until I get my workout on, because I know that chick is already out there posting. So Chrisette, thank you for keeping us honest. Thank you for keeping us accountable. It's been really good. Thank you. What's happening?
Yeah. Well, I'm excited. I really am getting into the Get Up and Move challenge. It really is inspiring me. It's easy to put something out there, and then you have to think, you're like, wait a minute, I'm the one that gave the challenge, which means that if nobody does it, tag, you are it. You got to put your money where your mouth is. And I'm telling you, there was a day I was like, why did I come up with it? Why did Sabrina come up with it? Somebody else. I got to get out there and do something. But I'm telling you, I am getting up earlier. I'm excited. It feels really, really good. And I know so many of our tribe, they're starting, they are, posting that they're getting involved. They're tagging a girlfriend. So we just really, really want this to be a movement. We're going to make it through June 30th. And then, hey, we'll talk about what we're going to do in July, but we just got to make it through June 30th. And so I always shout out Sabrina. Yep, we are accountability partners. And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna shout her out. What you got for me, Sabrina? What you got for me? What you got for me? So that's
and I always answer the call, and I've been answering the call. It might be late at night, but I get it in.
Yeah, you sure do. You sure do. And so that's so. And you know what? And what that shows us is, everybody can come up with an excuse. You absolutely could have said, it's 10 o'clock, I'm not going to do it. But you got up and you moved at 10 o'clock. So I don't care if you do it at 6 a.m. or 11 p.m. Just get up and move. But I did want to say one thing that I saw today, and it's just so interesting. Yesterday on our show, we had attorney Portia Roberson, and we were talking about inflation and working people, and they talked about it today on the news. Now check this out. They were saying that CEOs are getting huge paydays in comparison to the average working person, and this is the statistic. They are getting 670 to 1. 670 to 1. So CEOs income is growing by 31%. They've made over $2.5 million increase in their salaries, where the average income is only like $3,500 when you think about the average working person. And the average, this is what blew me away. The average working person, they make $24,000 a year. $24,000 a year.
The average
in comparison, the average in comparison.
That means it's a lot below that.
Yeah. To the CEO, 670, you guys, to 1 is the increase. And I don't know, and and again, I know we are in a capitalist society, and I know, you get paid, you want to be paid what you're worth, but we are still arguing about giving people $15 an hour.
Right.
Come on. I mean, you can be wealthy, make a lot of money, but come on. We can give back
it make
to
sense.
working people, right? Come on. So I just wanted to mention that today. It's just ridiculous. It's just
the disparity,
sad.
for sure. For sure. Before we go to Gloria, I want to tip our viewers, our callers. Today, we are talking Juneteenth, the upcoming holiday that was signed into law last year by President Biden. And so we're going to talk about Juneteenth, the upcoming holiday. Is it enough? What will you do? How will you do it? We have an amazing, dynamic sister, Dreisen Heath. She is going to come and talk to us, guys. She is a researcher and advocate in Human Rights Watch's U.S. program. When I tell you she's a bad sister, she's a bad sister. She is going to educate. She is going to also give us some data on all of the things that are going on about reparations and all of that. And so we're excited to have Dreisen. Get your questions. Call in 313-778-7600. Gloria, we're going to have you say hello to us, and then we're going to bring our guest speaker in. How are you today?
Girl, after that introduction, all I want to say is hello, so we can get to the guest. Okay? Because I want to talk about Juneteenth. I want to be educated. I want to be restructured. I want to know the correct way to celebrate it. I don't want to miss this at all. Right. And I think that this is a great thing that the girlfriends are doing here, is to educate all of us. Even though some of us are super, super bright in our own lane, there's so much more that we can all learn. And that's why I love We Got Issues, because everybody can learn so much more. I do want to say I'm proud of you, Katrina. Maybe it's not feel good as you do that you went out and voted, and that we know how important it is. I was watching the political scene out there in California. I'm watching the weather, you guys. But you're listening to us anywhere across the United States, we just pray for your weather, because it is very, very serious. Some people are touching heat like they've never touched before. Since the beginning of record keeping, we've got heat going on here. That's huge, you guys. And then we've got the storms that are coming through. So I just think that on the world stage, we're dealing with a lot, but we cannot forget about the weather. We can't forget about guns. We can't forget about I saw this huge thing about the veterans today. Is the big thing going on with the veterans, that they're changing the laws in a bipartisan bill that's up, which is huge. I mean, can you even believe that right now, when we see anything that's bipartisan, that's huge. It's what's going on in the Ukraine is huge. There's a lot of huge stuff going on. But right here, we're talking about Juneteenth. So I'm a happy girl over here in Baltimore, ready to get to the guests and ready to get to this conversation, and really, really, really want the callers to call in, because I know every time we talk about Juneteenth, it is an education for all of us. So you should call in and say, you know what? I didn't know a lot. Or, ooh-wee, that's what I learned. Or, ooh-wee, this is what I heard. Or, ooh-wee, this is what I'm going to do. Because this show is only best when everybody participates in making it great. So back to you, Sabrina. I'm excited about this.
Excellent, excellent. Well, girlfriends, please meet our newest girlfriend of the tribe, Dreisen Heath. Bring Dreisen in. Dreisen, where are you? There's Dreisen. Welcome to We Got Issues. Let me tell you a little bit about this bright light. She is a researcher and advocate in Human Rights Watch's United States program, focusing on racial justice issues. She is an expert on reparations and reparatory justice, and has authored reports and publications highlighting victims' right to seek full and effective reparations that are proportional to the gravity of the human rights violations, including acts of racial discrimination as dictated by international human rights law. She is testified as an expert witness for her work supporting the movement for reparations. Heath's writings on the impacts of ongoing structural racism, racial inequality, and reparations have been widely quoted and published. She is amazing, you guys. Before joining the Human Rights Watch, she worked as a special assistant to the director and counsel of the Brennan Center's Washington, D.C. office, and was a researcher at the Center for Research in Education and Social Policy at the University of Delaware. Dreisen, we honor you, we salute you, we thank you for the work you do. In a nutshell, you guys, Dreisen is committed to the humans, to the humanity and dignity of all, working on all things racial justice. She is fighting for reparations now and forever. Dreisen, say hello to the people. We got about a minute and a half before we go to break, but just say hello.
Hello, hello.
All you
Thank
can
you
say
for
is
that.
hello,
Hold
because
on,
here's the
Dreisen.
music.
Dreisen, when you took that breath, that was when you were supposed to say, I'm Dreisen. Okay. Dreisen, when we come back from this break, because we got to pay a few bills, we want to hear it all, y'all. We'll be right back.
Gotcha.
Bye. Thank you. Let me know.
All right, we're back. We're back. We're back. Yes, Lisa, great evening. Great evening. Hi, my leader. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Well, we are here, you guys, with Dreisen Heath. He works for the Human Rights Watch. They defend the rights of people in 90 countries. Huge organization worldwide, spotlighting abuses and bringing perpetrators to justice. Dreisen, thank you. Young, gifted, Black, doing what you do. Talk to us a little bit about who you are, how you came to this kind of work.
Thank you so much, Sabrina, and just an honor to be around such beautiful women having important conversations on this evening. So I'm just honored to share the space. I I'm, came to this work because, as you identified, I'm a younger Black woman who knows I'm a descendant of enslaved people, who knows what my family's experience has been navigating, parts of, ancestors from plantations in Maryland, in Arkansas. I can't deny my ancestry there. I also can't deny the generations that were before me in terms of recently and surviving Jim Crow and surviving apartheid-like conditions in the U.S.
Right.
And then continuing on today, here we are with the burdens on our backs continually and compounded over centuries. And so, I think some of us come to this work because it's our life's purpose, and you don't know you stepping out until you step into it. And I think that's where I am with this work. I'm dedicated to my people. I'm dedicated to lifting up the humanity and dignity of all people. And that requires protecting and preserving some of the most endangered and oppressed people in this country, which is Black folks all across the diaspora.
For sure, for sure. Dreisen, I have to ask, I've never met anybody with the name Dreisen. Who are you named after? Where does that come from? I love it, but it has to mean something.
I appreciate that, and I love that you say my name right. Sometimes I get a little Dresden, sometimes I get a Dreisen, sometimes people just want to mix all types of letters in there. But I come from a family that loves sports, including baseball. And my mom's favorite one of her favorite Black baseball players in the 70s and 80s was Dan Dreisen. He played on the Cincinnati Reds team, Big Red Machine. If we have any sports fans here, played with Pete Rose and won a few championships. So a good namesake. She switched the letters around, turned the last name into a first name, and here I am.
Wow. All right. I knew it had to be something major with that kind of name. Thank you for that education. I have to look that player up for sure, for sure. So let's talk Juneteenth. It's an upcoming holiday just signed into law as a national holiday by the president last year. Tell us the importance of Juneteenth, why we should celebrate, how we should celebrate, and then I'm sure the girlfriends have some questions for you.
Sure. I mean, Juneteenth is short for June 19th, which was the date in 1865 in particular, where the federal troops came down to Galveston, Texas, and was, announced to enslaved people there that they were free. Now, mind you, 3 years prior, we had the Emancipation Proclamation was officially signed in 1862. So enslaved people were free in Confederate states, including Texas, but people didn't even know they were free. Word had to pass around even post this Juneteenth celebration that people were free. Because there still was no, communication. And if there was, I mean, we're talking about you being beat maybe to death if you had any type of literacy or could, communicate, right? That's why we had Underground Railroad networks and all of that. So this is a celebration, right? This is a celebration of the liberation of folks out of an economic exploitation system, out of at least one economic exploitation system. We know that we still have existing economic exploitation systems. And so, people all across the country now celebrate that. I think it's very particular to Black culture and Black folks and descendants of, enslaved Black people in particular. But it's caught on as a cultural phenomenon, despite even, folks even knowing exactly what it means and knowing the implications to which the celebration is. So I'm sure, I'm definitely signing up for my Juneteenth cookout. Any reason to have a cookout and chill with some friends and experience Black joy, I'm going to do. And I, might take advantage of the mattress sale and whatever else comes down the pipe, because corporate America has, definitely hijacked the opportunity to use this as another way to suck us back into the capitalistic cycles that have us here today. And so now it's a federal holiday. But let you into a little insider into even how it becomes a federal holiday. Now, there have been champions of making Juneteenth a federal holiday, and I honor, some of the elders who have carried on that fight,
Right.
like acknowledge
Sure.
this day, acknowledge this history, which absolutely needs to be acknowledged. And we know in the past, when the federal government has issued holidays, it's normally in response to some momentum in a social movement. When we think about how Labor Day was established, when we think about how Memorial Day was established, when we think about how we got MLK Day, these are all in response to, a slowing of particular social movements. And so while I honor this holiday, I also, as a lead reparations advocate on the federal reparations bill, know that, this country decided it wasn't going to vote on the reparations bill, and instead it was going to vote and then sign into law the Juneteenth holiday bill, despite the reparations bill having the votes it needed to pass in the House. So, there's always a backstory, right? There's always a backdoor deal. And we can hold both of these things as, Juneteenth being significant in one hand, and then we can also acknowledge that it was in direct response to the momentum of the reparations movement.
So we asked the question, holiday or payday? Do we just accept the holiday, or do we still fight for the payday?
Yeah, we have to fight for the payday, right? We're overdue. The debt keeps accumulating every day. And so do you want to pay less now, or do you want to pay more later? That's really the question. And when I say pay, that means different forms of payment. And it may not always be financial compensation, right? There is a literal debt that is owed and financially for lost slave wages, for the Jim and Jane Crow systems, right, that restricted all aspects of Black life, for other economic forms of exploitation, like convict leasing in prisons, and employment discrimination and job discrimination today. All of that needs to be calculated, but it's an insurmountable amount. It's going to continue to calculate. And therefore, when I say pay up, and when a lot of advocates say pay up, it also is talking about other remedies that are necessary to bring a community back to a morally acceptable place, prior to them being violated systematically, prior to them being violated individually. Like, what does being whole look like in this country? Like, healing is a process, right? Are we ever going to be truly healed? Are we ever going to, reach the North Star of reconciliation? I don't know. We haven't even conciled, right? We have Republican legislators all across the country, like, trying to bury this history, right? And so we don't even have a shared understanding as a people, even with our own people.
That's the key.
We don't have a shared understanding.
Dreisen,
Wow,
I wanted
that's
to
so
ask.
powerful.
I wanted to ask.
Go ahead,
when,
Gloria. Katrina.
both you and Sabrina were talking about the corporate America taking advantage of it, and I'm sure you can chime in on the recent anger that took place among Black Twitter users, and I heard about it on Oh, we're going to a break. So I can ask it after the break. Wanted to ask about the Walmart ice cream and them attempting to trademark Juneteenth. And it was because of the outrage of Black folks noticing that trademark that they dropped the trademark application. Can you talk about that when we come back?
All right, we're going to a break. We got issues. Call us at 313-778-7600. We'll be right back. We're back. We're back. We're back. And we're going to jump right in because we've got a lot to cover. We are here with Dreisen Heath, Human Rights Watch. She is an expert on reparation and so many other issues. But Katrina, re-ask your question for late callers who are just listening. Late listeners, and Dreisen will address.
Yes, Dreisen, I would love to know. Thank you for the knowledge you're bringing us and talking about the attempts to capitalize on our pain. Recently, there was an ice cream that was pulled off the Walmart shelves. I'm sure you're familiar with it from the Great Value symbol, which we all have seen, but it was a Juneteenth ice cream. And Black folks noticed that it had a trademark after Juneteenth. And so as it turned out, there were two white men, I believe, businessmen that were attempting, they had actually put in the trademark patent for Juneteenth. And because of the outrage through Twitter and TikTok, it has been pulled. Both the ice cream has been pulled, if I understand, and the trademark has been pulled. So would love to know about that. And it should be trademarked and somebody should own it, but it should not be businessmen at Walmart. So can you talk about that?
Right. It should be a trademark of Black people, of the Black community. And someone needs to gain ownership over that. And that's a constant fight for us, ownership. Who has ownership over the narrative? Right. Who has ownership over the products? Who has ownership over our livelihoods, right? We're constantly fighting over that. That ice cream is the latest example of that. I mean, something is going wrong when Black Twitter, burst in uproar about it, right? And rightfully so. One, you had the design that was patented also off of a similar design Great Value did around Pride. So you're also just from a basic creative design standpoint, you are using one identity and then copying that to speak to another. But the harm that something like that does, right, where you've now trivialized this holiday. You've trivialized the fact that this holiday marked freedom for some enslaved people in particular. And that's a huge detriment then and reverberates, right? Because then you'll have other brands and other people thinking that it's okay to just take these patents out or whatever. And you didn't have to even tell us that it was two white men that pulled out the patent. So, in terms of like doubt, that's a structural issue also within corporate spaces, right? Where you don't have Black folks making the decisions around Black issues, like in the media room, where if when we're talking about the recent Buffalo massacre, right? I only want to see Black people talking about that. I want to see the impact of community members. I want to see Black experts and Black inequality, people who study Black inequality, all of that. Don't need people who are not identifying with this experience to tell that experience. And that's the same with this ice cream. Now, you do have corporations that are socially responsible, like Ben & Jerry's, for instance, who have made an active partnership with the reparations movement, who have taken a stance specifically on HR 40, the federal reparations bill, which was studied and recommend reparations proposals. So they have a HR 40 position. They have a position on reparations. They also have come out with the ice cream for Kaepernick. They've come out with a ice cream in collaboration with Congresswoman Cori Bush around public safety and police not being the first response to our public safety needs. So you do have examples of people who are doing it correctly, and you have others who are continuing, as you said, to profit off our pain.
All right. You guys, this is real interesting talk. We are being educated. We've got a couple of callers. Let's go to the phone lines. Caller, are you there? Okay, Faye? Oh, okay. No, Faye, we lost Faye.
Marathon? This is Marathon. I just turned you guys on. What are you talking about?
What are we talking about? We are talking about the upcoming holiday, Juneteenth. This time of July, it's a new federal holiday, and we're talking, we've got a holiday. Is that enough? Do we fight for more? How do we fight for more? We want more than a day to cook out. Like we know, this holiday should not be about just relaxing, but working and fighting for what's right. Making sure that what we've lost has been restored some kind of way. So we have Human Rights Watch specialist Dreisen Heath. So Marathon, what are you planning to do for Juneteenth?
Well, I don't think I'll barbecue or nothing. I just kind of want to reflect. I'm like you. I think we should do more. We should have reparations.
Yes. That's what we're talking about, for sure. For sure, for sure. Absolutely. In so many ways. And Dreisen has talked about that reparations look different in many different ways. So, Dreisen, can you go ahead and give us a few more highlights of what reparations looks like? Because some people think it's just money. But we know that we talked about last night, it's mental health in our neighborhoods.
Access to programs. So talk about that a little bit. Marathon, thank you so much for calling 9 a.m. the Superstation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, I mean, just to address that recent point too of what you will do on Juneteenth, right? I honor the folks who are going to commit to a fight for reparations, and I honor the folks who just want to rest, right? Because rest is a part of the work, and we have to preserve ourselves. And so, I think there's a balance there where, you choose your own adventure on Juneteenth, Black people. And in terms of what the remedies look like, we've seen successful reparations programs in the United States. For instance, if you look at Chicago's police torture victims reparations program. So there was a police torture ring in the late 70s and 80s where primarily Black men were tortured by the police, some wrongfully incarcerated, some of them still incarcerated. And decades later, the Chicago City Council voted on direct payments to the survivors of that torture. They also gave them free education to the city, Chicago city schools. They also built a trauma-informed care center and are providing free trauma-informed care to both their families and the survivors themselves. There's employment opportunities and other social safety net, cushions that will help these people get back on their feet and on their lives. They're actually still fighting for a memorial also. All of these pieces, right? There was an acute harm done, and it resulted in multiple harms. And so each of these remedies match up with the harms that were experienced by those survivors. We should also be talking in terms of the legacy of enslavement. We have to talk about return of land. Obviously, that's a conversation that also has to be in concert with Indigenous folks, because we don't have plantations, right, unless there's a mass removal and displacement and dispossession of land of Indigenous folks. But you also we know that Black farmers have lost at least 90% of their land just in this last century. 90%.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable. A lot of that is plucked by the government. Or violently taken by other white forces in the area. We also have to talk about return of artifacts and return of property, right? When the federal government uses eminent domain, where they just come in their community and say, these buildings look unused, so and we're just gonna buy off this row of homes and neighborhoods, right? Yeah. That's a dispossession of property. You are displacing folks from their community, forcing them to go elsewhere. Return that property, return those artifacts. There's stuff sitting in the Smithsonian that probably need to be back in a specific cultural place. We talked a little bit about psychological and rehabilitative measures. But I also want to lift up needing to expunge criminal records for wrongful incarceration, right? Where the evolution of enslavement is mass incarceration in this cycle of family separation. We also need to talk about, what does it look like for this not to happen again? What institutions need dismantling? What institutions need reimagining? How do we go about that process from a community control lens? But also, how do we actually get an official apology? the federal government has never officially apologized for the chattel slavery system or the legacy of enslavement. Once you put that out there, you definitely are open to legal and social culpability. And that's why they haven't issued an apology. But wouldn't that mean something to acknowledge the humanity and dignity in these experiences that people are still experiencing today? So the remedies can look different in every place. Reparations is not a one size fits all.
Yes. Oh my goodness. It's a hard conversation. It's a conversation that has to be had. It turns our souls. We're still where we are after all of these years. It's sickening, really. But we thank you, Dreisen, for fighting the good fight. We want to do our part, whatever we can do in the community. Faye, we're coming right back to you right after this break. Our caller's on the line. We'll be right back. We're back. Oh my goodness, this hour is going super fast. We're going straight to the phone lines. We're talking Juneteenth. We're talking reparations. We're talking make my people whole. Hello, Faye, are you there?
Yeah.
All right, talk to it.
Right, talk to it. And this message is for Dresden, the sister that's there. All right. Over the reparations. This is for you. You're talking to now a senior. Okay? Now, when you speak about slavery, it's not just economics. Don't leave it at that, because our people won't feel that. You have to talk about it. about babies being sold from mother's arms. Okay, you have to talk about men hiding under their women's skirts to not be sold or moved to another plantation. You got to talk about that. You got to make it emphatic for our people. And another thing, when you talk about what we should be doing on that so-called holiday, then you should be emphatic about us doing something, not celebrating. Okay, even if the people are not going to follow your rules, we got to stop following the European way and start dealing with our own, because we're in a crisis right now as a people. It ain't no social, chatty, happy time now. Okay, it's a deep time. And every word, since you have the microphone, every word that comes out of your mouth should be about saving our people, save not just reparations, because that's saving our people. But we got people dying now. We got children dying now. And you got to sit down somewhere in the quiet and think about how you're going to be writing your speeches where they include our young people that are dying. You got to do that. That's another thing you got to do. But you got the microphone. So that's all I've got to say. And everybody, try to have a good life. Bye.
Thank you, Faye. It's tough out here. It's tough out here.
The Capitol Hill testimony today. My goodness, the Buffalo shootings, the Whitfield Jr., Ruth's son. If you guys have not seen his testimony, go back and hear his testimony. I mean, he was saying, my mother should not have died. His mother was the 86-year-old who died at the grocery store. He said she was a good woman. We're God-fearing people. She died because of the color of her skin. How in 2022 is this happening? I mean, can you speak to that a little bit, Dreisen? I mean, it was just a powerful, heartbreaking testimony today. And I understand that the number one threat to our homeland right now is white supremacy. And it just rips at my soul. Address that, then we're going to go to a caller. Thank you for calling, Faye.
Yeah, it's all, I mean, white supremacy has been the leading domestic terroristic force in this country. And, you know, to that recent caller's point, like that includes in our advocacy around reparations. We talk about reproductive injustice. We talk about infant mortality rates being as bad as they are today, as they were during enslavement. You know, I would love for people to check out my congressional testimony on reparations, which speaks directly to these issues and directly to the compounding harms, emotional, psychological, political, in addition to economic, right? Because massacres like in Buffalo, you know, are a continual fabric. It's a part of the fabric of our country in terms of what it takes to keep Black people under, right? There is so much animosity towards any type of economic progress or just like existing as a Black person. That is a, you know, makes you a target, right? Buffalo is so similar to so many other Black communities across the country where this Black community in East Buffalo was isolated because of specific government policies. What then makes this community isolated without resources, within a food desert, you know, lack of transportation, right? I saw that the governor ends up giving out Uber and Lyft rides to people to go to another grocery store in the neighboring zip code because they can't go to Tops on that Jefferson Avenue because there's no transportation route that even public transportation route that even takes you to the next zip code easily. And so, yes, let's talk about the threat of white supremacy in terms of we just passed the 101st mark of the Tulsa Race Massacre, right? Where people have been demanding for over a century reparations for that very devastating harm that continues on today in the inequality that impacts Black communities, particularly those who have been displaced in North Tulsa and you know how they're targeted for abusive policing, how their schools are under resourced, how they also don't have a lot of food resources. It's a continual cyclical destructive pattern that white supremacy has on this country.
Continual destructive pattern. We got a phone call, you guys. Let's go to the phone lines. Caller, are you there?
Yeah, I am. Hello, thank you for calling. We got issues. Hi. I wanted to, first of all, just thank you for the show and wanted to Dreisen, I've read her work. I know how committed she is to this work, and she's one of the brightest minds in America as it relates to this issue. I appreciate the temperament in which you all are bringing the discussion, and I can tell you that if we were to deal with every tragedy that happens in America, we would never have a smile in our hearts. We would never have any kind of levity. So I appreciate the way you all bring this and bring it in a way that we can understand. I would like to know, HR 40, what will it take, especially with this Biden administration? Will we see it ever, or is that to lose the opportunity? And when might we see the opportunity again for it to be signed? Thank you for calling, Paula. Thank you. Dreisen.
Dreisen.
Yeah.
We got 1 minute, Dreisen. We got about 2 minutes.
All right. Thank you so much for that question, because this is live right now. A coalition of over 400 organizations have demanded that Biden, establish a federal reparations commission using his executive powers by Juneteenth. A holiday is not enough. HR 40, the bill for which this executive order needs to be commissioned off of, has enough votes to pass in the House. They refuse to pass it. And so Biden promised to Black America in his campaign plan that he would study reparations. If he has Black people's back unequivocally, right, it's not just about those votes. You need to protect the well-being and livelihood of Black folks through establishing this reparations commission via executive order.
All right. Well, you heard it. You heard it from Dreisen. She knows her stuff. Dreisen, the time went by so fast. We have to have you back. Thank you for educating, enlightening, empowering us all to make a difference. Well, you guys, we got issues, so much to talk about. Girlfriends didn't even get to ask a question. It was on and popping. So we have to have you back. We're here Monday through Friday, 6 to 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you. We'll see you tomorrow. Same time, same place. Peace.